guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Elly Brown, and if you've been a friend of mine for a while, welcome back. My channel is the best place on YouTube for survivors to thrive, and if you've survived something, cancer, scars, disability, being different, you're probably gonna like my channel, so reach right down there, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell, and every time I do a video, you will be informed. Today we're talking about speech impediments. In this video, I just want to talk a little bit about how this affects our lives and how we can kind of get past it and move on and not be so shy about it. I know a lot of you guys, especially the oral cancer community members, have reached out to me and said, you know, I'm really not comfortable talking, or I'm not comfortable talking on camera or in front of people. I want you to be able to go out in the world and live your life and feel proud to be who you are and proud that you're alive. And so hopefully in this video we can talk some of those things through and maybe even come up with some techniques to move past our speech impediments. An impediment is defined as a hindrance or an obstruction in doing something. And with a speech impediment in particular, that is a defect in a person's speech, such as a lisp, which I definitely have. In the case of my speech impediment, I got it on the morning of May 28th, 2018, when I had my hemi-glossectomy surgery for the large oral cancer tumor that was right on the back of my tongue. My doctors took about 50% of my tongue away, and they built me a new flap, or a new piece of tongue, and they put that right into the side of my mouth and attached it to my cheek. So in my case, my speech impediment is literally caused by my tongue being attached or tethered to the side of my cheek right here. And they put the flap in, and then they tie it down in there so it can't go anywhere. Your speech impediment may or may not be caused by the same thing, but even if it's not, I bet we have a lot in common, so keep on watching. And hey, maybe you love yourself exactly as you are. Maybe you're just watching this video because you have one, and you've already gotten over it. And if that's the case, I want you to put your experience in the comments, because there's so many of us that are still dealing with it on an ongoing basis, or our speech impediments are new, and we're definitely looking to connect to those of you who understand, so let's find each other down in the comments. So first of all, am I embarrassed by my speech impediment? You know, I know it seems like I must be so confident because I make these videos, but honestly, I do still have a lot of pain in my heart surrounding my speech impediment. As some of you know, my background is in acting, singing, voiceover, on-camera hosting. So when I had the surgery and I woke up with a speech impediment, there was a lot, and still is a lot, of pain around that. I lost my career as I know it, but I also gained a lot. I think more than what I lost. So one of the things that I try to dwell on and live in when I'm thinking about my speech impediment is just the sheer gratitude of being alive. Now, I know it's easy to say that, and it's a lot harder to sit in peace with that thought without being really irritated that this happened. I get it. I'm irritated too. It's such BS to have just this beautiful, functional, amazing talent and gift. And even if you didn't work in the arts or in voice or whatever, I think you would agree that losing that ability, especially if you weren't born like that, is really, really tough. To suddenly wake up one day and, oh, the way I talk is different. The way people receive me is different. The way I move about the world is now hindered in some way. And that sucks. Like, that's no fun. I don't think I'm embarrassed by it, but it will always probably irritate me a little bit. And tell me in the comments if you agree with that, if you also have a speech impediment. It's one of those things that I don't think I'll ever be jumping for joy that I have it. I don't think I'll ever be like, man, it's so great that this happened to me. But in a lot of ways, I am really grateful for it, simply because it helps me connect to a new group of people who are also just trying to figure it out here on planet Earth. And if I didn't have that, then we wouldn't know each other. So that's a good thing, right? It's really hard for people to understand how different the world is when you have a speech impediment. People who speak normally really couldn't imagine all the small, bizarre things that happen, all the misunderstandings. About 4 months after my surgery, I telephoned a local post office to ask them if they had a self-mailing kiosk where I could mail a letter without walking up to the counter. And getting that flat out and understood was so difficult that the young man on the phone, he said, "1 moment, ma'am," and he put the phone down and he turned to whoever was with him and he said, "Oh my God, I can't understand a word this woman is saying." Singer, actor, on-camera host. I had only had that speech impediment for 4 months and I wanted to dry up into a tiny little nugget and just disintegrate and disappear. It was one of the hardest moments after my surgery, and it had nothing to do with walking or my wheelchair or my feeding tube. It was not being able to be understood. Not being understood is one of the main reasons why people get upset. It's one of the reasons why people yell. Usually people yell and scream because they feel like they're not understood. And here I was in this world where 4 months ago, people were handing me piles of cash and saying, "Will you speak into this microphone?" And now, I couldn't even get a letter mailed without embarrassing myself. It was terrible, truly. And I know some of you can relate to that. Also, it's just really hard to notice that light in someone's eyes when they start to realize, like if you meet someone for the first time and you start speaking to them, there's this light that goes off in their head as they're speaking to you, where you can see that they're realizing that something's not quite right with the way I talk. And you know, that's okay. That's just people trying to deal with their own feelings about it, and they're projecting their own opinions about how they would feel if that happened to them, and that has nothing to do with us. So truly, that's okay. I can let that slide, and I hope you can too, because they don't mean any harm. They're just thinking of themselves, really, most of the time. And we might do the same thing. It's wonderful to have awareness and be able to now choose not to do that when we're meeting people who are maybe slightly different than us. And that is a great life skill to have. So I can thank God for that part of my speech impediment. It has really opened up a door for me to understand other people in a new way. And if you can't understand them with speech, why not be able to reach them on a very vibrational human level? That is a really good thing too, and maybe more important than words. Also, Siri never understands me. She has no idea what I'm asking her to do. I try still, even now, to do voice to text. I know maybe that sounds ridiculous, maybe I should just turn that feature off, maybe I shouldn't use it. But I test myself, and I would say 2 out of 10 times she gets it, and I get the text right. But most of the time, she just has this string of gobbledygook. I have no idea, and then if I accidentally hit send, the person on the other end is like, what does any of this mean? I have no idea. And that's really awkward and bleh. The way I see it, this is my new normal. And I can go out in the world and wear it and I can wear it to death. I can put it on like an old hat and just let it wear in and get broken in. And the more I do that, the more comfortable I'll get. If I chose not to go out in the world, not to speak to people, not to make phone calls, not to do videos, then it would take much longer for it to get broken in, and I wouldn't be as used to it by now. And for me, I think the most important thing was just get over this fast. Just get used to it. This is the way you talk. If I have to correct someone who isn't hearing my meaning or isn't taking the time to understand me, then really that's okay. I don't mind repeating myself, and most times, 9 times out of 10, it's not that there's a person who's unable to hear me or that they're trying purposely to be cruel. And in fact, if they are, then I have nothing to do with that person, and I don't need to be spending any more time on them. So there's that. A lot of people who have reached out to me are really uncomfortable trying to get comfortable, if that makes any sense. They maybe have less ability than even I, and it's really, really difficult for people to understand them. So I get that, because even from where I sit, I feel like my speech is really probably better than the typical oral cancer survivor. So I just want to say, I don't think I'm such a hot shot because I've gotten to this point in my speech. I literally had a career in speech before I had my surgery. So maybe I had some tools at my disposal that not everybody did, just in terms of practicing speech and using my voice and using my mouth and my tone to make myself more understood. And that isn't any defect on your part. It's not any, there isn't anything about that that's your fault. So don't necessarily look at me and think that this is normal. I'm actually really lucky in a lot of ways. And yes, I've worked really hard, but I had resources at my disposal that not everyone has. So if your speech isn't right to even this point yet, give yourself a break. Just treat yourself with kindness and with compassion, because there's no reason for you to come out of a surgery like that and sound amazing in a month. It's just not gonna happen. The surgery is like a hemi-glossectomy. Recovery is slow. You can expect that. And it's okay just to pat yourself on the back every day and be like, you know what, I'm doing my best. I know a lot of other survivors that are afraid to speak. And even if they're in a position for people to really hear them, our community is so small that really if any one of you oral cancer survivors started to put out videos, you would get a lot of attention, because there's not that many videos to search for, and there's a great need for that sort of material. So I would highly encourage any of you out there, if you have even a shred of interest in making videos, let your flag fly. Don't be embarrassed. Just get a camera, get out there, start speaking. The ones who are cruel or have something bad to say, just block them. This material isn't for those people. It's for the people who want to know you and want to hear how you're coping and would find value in this sort of video. So do it. I say do it! I hope this video has helped even a little bit. I think you guys are amazing. I'm so happy to be friends with you, speech impediment or not. Please go down in the comments and tell me what you thought about this video, or if you have any ideas to share. If you'd like other videos about coping skills, a new normal, figuring out your life after cancer, or anything like that, check out the 2 videos I linked right here and here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!